Well, the Minister ended by talking about the environmental damage, and it is apparent everywhere you look. Every single place you look around here, really, along the coastline. This morning, we began a day that took us across the water to Motiti Island at Mount Maunganui Beach with a most unexpected sight. Mount Maunganui Beach, 7 o'clock this morning. The waves roll in as they always have. So great to dive into in summer. The walkers are out as they always are. But today, for the first time ever, rolling into shore to meet them is a shipping container. It's amazing to see what the sea can do to metal. This giant box is squeezed and battered, no match for the waves. The police have been called, but what can they do? What can anyone do? Along the beach, things get stranger. Floating in the shallows, dozens of animal hides for export. They've been washed back to the land from where they've come. The mist lifts and we fly to Motiti Island, banging down on its grass strip. The locals lined up, waiting for someone to arrive to do something, anything useful.
Yeah, at the moment the people are pretty hurt about what they're seeing on the beach. Oil slick and containers and all those sort of things.
We drive to the coast, this tiny community where all of history belongs to just a few families and every building has a story.
Built in 1920.
But now, at the end of the road, there is the sea, as there's always been, and beyond the rocks and crashing waves, there is the Rena, and all she has so terribly brought with her. This, believe it or not, is a rock pool, but anyone who's ever done that wonderful Kiwi summer activity of rock pooling with the kids will know that's not what they're meant to look like. Totally oil coated, and everything in it's dead. And the problem is that this is a tidal rock pool, so everything that comes in with the high tide to feed off what's in this rock pool will die. And then everything that feeds on those creatures, the crabs and the little fish, will die. And on and on and on. And every rock pool around this coast is exactly like that, dead.
People are just so hurt. What's happened to our seafood? We can't get seafood. They're telling us not to go down the beach because of the oil slick from the ship out there.
So what do you get from out there? What do you?
Well, we get powers, crayfish, sea eggs, everything down there.
Not anymore, and not for the foreseeable future. It seemed inexplicable at first, but everywhere we looked was rubbish. The wood made sense, but why all the plastic? And then around the point we saw the answer. One of the containers smashed by the sea had held plastic for recycling. For me today, this scene, perhaps as well as any other, sums up what the Rena grounding means. The crushed and smashed shipping container, jagged metal, and its cargo of rubbish washed up in an oily sea onto a pristine island in a place called the Bay of Plenty.
Well, I think everybody's just so hurt. Yeah. I don't want to be on TV with tears dropping from my eyes. It's worse than looking at a mother and child with tears. But for to see tears from a man, it's not very good. It's hurtful. Shocking, shocking.
We leave the island to fly the short distance back to the mainland. Over 20 years, Paul, our pilot, has done this trip thousands of times. Suddenly, below us, the Rena. And only when you fly by do you realize how crippled she really is, tilting impossibly. Containers poised before falling into the sea. What's inside them? Animal skins? Dairy products? Rubbish? Something else? The waves crash over the side. Bit by bit, the sea is surely getting her. And she is getting the sea. Her spilling oil is so plainly evident up here. On Papamoa Beach, it's terrible. Blackness all along the sand. A week after she ran aground, and she's staining everything within reach.